Weather this afternoon left a little to be desired, but the fish were out there in numbers. Around this time of the year, the water is starting to warm up quite quickly, and with it we're getting quite good north currents. North currents that are bringing warm water, lots of nutrients for fish to be feeding on. This one day we got up to the spot on the north side of the island, and we could see before we even jumped in current lines.
Yeah, good. It's dark, but it's clean.
A really good indicator. You know that's going to be holding fish and bringing that warmer water. First dive down and I'm already blown away. I can tell by this first dive this is going to be a special day and there's going to be a lot of fish about. Nice warm water, getting that north current and plenty of fish feeding. This area was going nuts. With this many fish about, hanging high off the bottom, you know there's going to be some larger predators as well. Things like kingfish and snapper in the area. Shortly after, Luke was able to put a really good shot into a kingfish. The kingfish that Luke shot was one of 3, and the other 2 decided to stick around after this one had been shot. Luke left a couple meters from the surface thinking I'd want to have a crack at them. Instead, I was actually just more interested in filming the kingfish that he had shot. So I get down, he gets to the surface, and we secure the fish. Not much of a fight, but that's how you want it to go at an area like this. When there's that many fish about, there's kingfish about, and there's warm water, you know there's also going to be sharks in the area. So if you can get a good shot on a fish, minimize the amount of time you're fighting it, do it. However, that said, we did end up gutting the kingfish, just to see if it would bring in any other target-worthy species. Shortly after, I was able to run into a school of really large mackerels. I didn't know what they were at first. I thought they were trevallies. I could see the pectoral fins and they were long, and I was like, at that size, it can't be a mackerel. It can't be cohera either. It's like too big to be cohera and it's sticking near the bottom. It's only when I managed to dive down and actually have a look, I realized they were really large jack mackerels. I managed to line up, turn aimbot on, and get the 2-for-1 special. I call it the 2-for-1 Big Mac combo. 2 large mackerels together, please, with fries and a Coke. Jack mackerel and cohera are commonly misidentified as one another, which makes sense, they look very similar. With jack mackerels, you're typically going to find them in more coastal waters and they like sticking down to the bottom and around reef structure. Cohera, generally you're going to find out in the open water, in large schools and areas of high current, areas that you're going to find kingfish. Jack mackerels and cohera are both top tier indicator species for when you know there's kingfish in the area. Kingfish love to chase them. One of my recent videos where I shot my first kingfish of the season was around some mackerel schools, sorry. Nice 2-for-1 special, pretty happy with this. Probably the only time in my life I've actually gone for one of these shots and made it. I've hit like quite a few accidental 2-for-1 shots, but this is the only one where I've really tried to make it happen and pulled it off. When you find a good area, more often than not, you're also going to find blue maumau. Blue maumau aren't always necessarily a good indicator of predatory fish. Very rarely are you going to find things like kingfish and snapper predating upon them. They're sort of a weird shape. Things that are easier to swallow, like say a kawai, cohera and jack mackerel, get preyed on a lot harder than things like blue maumau. They swim around structures like this around all the other fish, calm as. Pretty cool video so far, yeah? If you've enjoyed up until now, you're going to love these next sequences. This is where things really turn up a notch and we get onto some crazy fish activity. This day I'm using my carbon roller gun powered up with short 16 bands using a load assist. At this time of the year you never know what you're going to run into, so it pays to be prepared. It's been months since I've seen numbers of fish like this, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of seeing it. It's so beautiful just to be surrounded by clouds, absolutely enveloped by fish and beautiful marine life. Among the maumau, on the surface of the water, shot from the surface with a snapper. Fortunately I took a bad shot and he escaped between Luke's legs. What a spectacular place.
Get off. I'm a bit worried about the boat. I might swim back and grab it and I'll just stand off.
Oh well, you can't win them all. Gotta try again. Sorry about the snapper, but hey, we'll have another crack at it. Things were going crazy at this spot. There were snapper feeding midwater, and not even midwater, like topwater, like 2 meters from the surface. Snapper, decent snapper like that, just chilling. With this many fish, it really reduced the visibility. The visibility itself was pretty good, but you really couldn't see far just through the amount of life that was in this area. As the water warms, you also get a lot of salp coming through, which is basically small marine organisms that join together, small single cellular organisms. They're like join together and form chains, as well as like fish eggs and stuff like that. Here I was about to turn my GoPro off, but I saw the school following me up to the surface. I get to the surface, still enamored by what I'm seeing, and swim forward past a little wash zone where there was some white water covering me up. I approach a trevally and manage to make a long shot, but still a really good shot, down through the fish, securing it. I was using a breakaway setup on my gun this day, and I didn't grab the rope. The trevally just beelined it straight to the bottom so I could actually see my float and shooting line there. Thought I was going to lose the fish, honestly, but I managed to get a hold of it, get it up to the surface, and secure the fish. Pretty lucky with that one, honestly. Like, if I'd done that with a kingfish or something larger than the trevally, there's a good chance I would have lost it, lost my shaft, fucked up the fish, and made an absolute fool of myself on YouTube. But thankfully, things didn't go like that. I was able to dive down in time, get that shooting line, get the trevally out to the surface, and secure a really nice fish. Probably the fish that I'm most proud of this day. Never complain about shooting a trevally. Such a beautiful fish. There's like two fish that I'll always be happy with. Trevallies and snappers, because I consider them to be probably the two hardest fish. You'll see them a lot, but it's really hard to get shafts into good ones. This day was pretty bad weather-wise. Pretty much the whole time we were diving, it was raining. It was really dark as well. We only hopped on the boat at 4 o'clock, and by this time the sun was going down quickly. We didn't have much daylight, but the diving was spectacular. Really made it worth the mission. This day was one of 3 that I dived in a row, and I'm also going diving again tomorrow. I've got plenty of sick footage coming, so if you want to see more, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Here we got a nice little snap dog staying out just below the surface. Shoot him from the surface, no need to dive down for this one. Real easy. Shot him through the cheek. There are plenty of these ones around this size just hanging out mid-water. Really crazy to see. It's not often you see snapper behaving like this. As I was fighting the snapper, that's when the big dog Trevs decide to make an appearance. Always when you have your gun unloaded or you're dealing with another fish do the big ones show themselves. These were really pretty big fish. It's hard to tell in the clean water, but I would have been absolutely over the moon to shoot one of those. However, they're there for next time. I might even get them tomorrow. You never know. But regardless, it's always cool to see fish, even if you don't shoot them. Like as I always say, spearfishing, for me, isn't mainly about shooting fish. That's a bonus. If I can shoot a cool fish at the end of the day, epic. But what I'm really out there trying to do is just enjoy myself. Things like this. While I'm not going to kill anything this time, it's so sick to see this amount of fish. This amount of life. It's out there and being a part of it. We're going to try one more spot down the coast, see if we can get a bit more kaimoana before heading back just before dusk. I actually love living in New Zealand so much. I feel like I could dive these waters for the rest of my life every single day and never get tired of it. Hell, I could dive the same stretch of coastline, just around Tyra, the entirety of my life, and I don't think I'd ever get tired. Even now, every time I go out diving, I'm met with something new, some unique experience that changes the way I look at the world and look at the ocean. I've learnt so much from it over the course of my existence. I appreciate everything the ocean has done and given to me, in full, and hope one day to repay the ocean for what it's given me. Here I was able to point out a crayfish. Just saw it from the surface, so I pointed out to Luke.
You spotted it, bro. Do you take cray home? Or?
No, you got it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to calling grabbing crayfish an art, but there is definitely a lot of technique involved. Every crayfish is going to be in a different spot and a different crayfish. So you've got to adapt your technique and try to figure out something that's going to work. Because a lot of times you'll get one crack at them, and if you miss it, they're going to the back of the hole and you're never going to see them again. Here, Luke, with his years of experience, was able to secure this crayfish really easily. The crayfish definitely qualifies as a species that is too tasty for its own good. It's gotten them into a lot of trouble.
Well, he's hard as a rock, so that's good.
So, too easy.
I'm like using a noose as well as you use like the day. I went to go for it, he moved his antennas down, I was like, fuck, so I did the old left hand over here, and he was like, ah.
When you're out there diving, it's not a competition to get as many crayfish as you can, shoot as many fish as you can. That's really not what it's about, and it's not sustainable.
Good eyes, bro, just spotted him just looking down into that crack.
I appreciate your time, and I hope you found value in this video. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe. If you comment, I'll be extra satisfied. I love reading comments. Treat the ocean with respect. This episode's sustainability message is if you're not in a spearfishing competition, spearfishing is not a competition.